Watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So today I am looking to discuss the character of Spike, otherwise known as Christine Nelson, from the original run of Degrassi back to the late 80s through the early 90s. She is pretty much almost not in the movie School's Out at all, other than she works at the same photo lab where Tessa Campanelli works, and so she plays sort of a low-key part in hearing about Tessa's sort of blossoming romance with Joey Jeremiah. If I'm not mistaken, too, Spike is the one that tells Tessa that be careful because him and Caitlin have been breaking up for years, and then Tessa's like, oh no, this time they've broken up for good, trust me. So, and I think that's the only place that she shows up in the movie, other than she does show up at the wedding at the end, of course, and she's at the party at the start, but she does not play an important part in the film School's Out. But Christine is, in a lot of ways, the most important character in the entire show, because this is the character that the showrunners decided to get pregnant in, like, grade 8, I think, when she goes to one of Lucy's sort of wild parties, and her and Shane have really bad sex, I would imagine, because Shane's like 12 or 13, and how good can it be? Like, as soon as he got inside of her, he probably ejaculated, and it was over, you know? And she gets pregnant, of course, all the while believing that she can't get pregnant because it was her first time. Wow. But she does get pregnant, and that was a huge deal. I remember back when I was a kid, like, that was a big deal. That was on the news, that was in the media, because this show, Degrassi, chose to get, like, a preteen pregnant, and it was almost too much for Canadian television at this point. Canadian television and Canadian films back in the 80s, they got censored in the weirdest ways. I remember David Cronenberg talked about this in an interview he did back in I can't remember, the mid-80s, where he discussed, like, the censorship of media-wise in Canada and how it's crazy. So the fact that they let like a 12, 13-year-old girl get pregnant on this show was cause for concern and alarm. And I remember it made the rounds, like, it was in the paper. We were discussing it at school. And the consensus eventually became that it was a really good idea because this sort of thing happens. And not only does she become pregnant, but she chooses to keep the baby, and she raises Emma. And Emma is the reason that the showrunners, Linda Schuler and Kit Hood, chose to reboot the series in the early 2000s, because they realized that Emma would be starting high school. So they decided to do a new run of Degrassi. And I thought that was really fun. I also really thought it was adorable how, in the end, when everything is said and done with, in the newer run of Degrassi from the early 2000s, that her and Snake end up getting together, just like they almost did back in High, when she asks Snake to go to the dance just as friends, but he really wanted to go with Michelle, but Michelle had broken up with BLT a ways before, and they tried to go on a date, and the Snake and Michelle's date train wrecked because Michelle shouldn't have been dating anybody. It was too soon after her and BLT broke up. And I just thought it was cool how Spike was such a good person too, because when she hears that Michelle and Snake are the ones that want to go to the dance together, she steps up and she goes right up to Snake and says, oh, I can't make it. You know, I'm really, really sorry about that. And you can tell that she's really hurt about this, but she does it because she knows he wants to go with Michelle and Michelle wants to go with him, which again shows the immense amount of character that the character of Christine Nelson has in this show. And that's why I think everybody loved her. She was a great mom. She was an awesome friend. She was a wicked kid. She was a cool student. She cared. She did her part. And I think that's why she was so universally well received. What the fuck was that? I think that's why. And her hair was really fun too. When she tries to go get a job and the one guy at the little, like, coffee shop or whatever, he makes fun of her because her hair, Liz is like, you know, we could throw bricks through his front window, which, you know, I don't really like Liz. I don't like Liz at all. But in that moment, Liz was a god, because that's exactly how I felt too. You know, even though Christine, being as sensible as she was, she's like, nah, that's not going to do anything. I wanted to throw bricks through that guy's window as well. So good job, Liz. It's like the only time I ever really liked that character. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Spike is adorable. She's amazing. She's got so much integrity. And I think, again, like I said a couple minutes or a minute ago, that's why I think she is so universally loved the way she is. But yeah, so thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 5 minutes while I discuss the character of Spike, Christine Nelson, from the original run of Degrassi way back in the late 80s through the early 90s. Like always, don't forget that you guys are amazing, and thank you for hanging out with me for all of these, because my God, have I done a lot of them. Have a good day.